Good morning, church. I'm with our National Road campus this morning, but I wanted to give you an update on the convening general conference that ended last week. As many of you know, I was privileged to be able to go to Costa Rica and be part of our Great Lakes Conference delegation to the convening general conference. If you're not familiar with what the general conference is, it's the global gathering of the Global Methodist Church, where representatives from all of our annual conferences come together to make decisions and to vote on policy and elect people to lead and all of those things. And so I wanted to share with you my experience of that and the main important decisions that came out of that gathering. And I do want to start with just the experience of the convening general conference. Many of us had hopes and expectations for what this gathering that we've waited so long for would be like. And I don't know anybody whose expectations were not exceeded by our experience there. It was a truly global gathering. 16 countries were represented. We were hosted by the Evangelical Methodist Church in Costa Rica, who we also made a formal partnership with. And it was a beautiful time of really worship and fellowship, as well as business. And somebody described it as a revival with a business meeting attached to it, and I think that that's an accurate way that we all experienced it. Out of this global gathering, we are committed to the leading of the Holy Spirit. The work that was done at the convening general conference was done in a spirit of cooperation, which is a different experience for some of us who have been part of these kinds of meetings in the past. And so it has been a time of worship, a time of fellowship, a time of healing for many of us and for, I think, the body of the church. And I am so excited for the future. One of the things that I think was the most powerful was the fact that it was a global gathering, and we had times of worship where each of us were worshiping or praying out loud together in our own languages, side by side. And for me, it was the foreshadowing of that image that we get in Revelation of every nation and every tongue worshiping God together. I think this is the most tangible experience of foreshadowing that I've experienced in my lifetime, and it was a great blessing to be able to experience that. And so, friends, I want to share now a few of the main legislative results that came out of this conference. First is that we now have a constitution. We have a constitution that will govern the standards, the principles, and the rules that will order the life of the Global Methodist Church. One of the most important parts of that constitution is our doctrinal standards, the things that ground us in our doctrine and our belief. Some of the familiar things, if you were familiar with our doctrinal standards from the previous denomination, are there. I would say the an addition that is very important is that we now have officially adopted the Apostles' Creed, the Nicene Creed, and the definition of Chalcedon as doctrinal standards for us. And you may not be familiar with all of these documents and resources, but the importance of them is that they anchor us to the historic Christian faith that has been confessed everywhere and always and by all throughout the world and throughout the Christian history. Now, normally changes to the Constitution will require two-thirds or three-fourths majority votes in the future. However, we are still making some adjustments to these through 2026. And so changes can be made by a simple majority through then. And then after that, it will be set and go to the two-third and three-quarter majority votes, as well as ratification by the annual conferences. So we are still in this process of solidifying different pieces, and we'll be in that process through the next general conference in 2026. The next thing I wanted to share is that there were some decisions around theological education for our pastors. These decisions established educational requirements for ordination through either degree programs or some other alternative pathways. There was a commission on approval to create a list of approved schools and programs for the preparation of our pastors. And all of this is designed to ensure that pastors in the future are being trained in the historic Christian faith and in our Wesleyan Methodist tradition. That's not enough to ensure that we have good leadership moving forward. There are still going to be much work through our local boards of ministry to evaluate and assess candidates for ministry. But this is a good step in ensuring that our pastors that are serving our churches will be grounded in the historic Christian faith. The next thing that was important was our Episcopal structure, or how bishops will serve in the Global Methodist Church. We have adopted what is called a general superintendency model. And in this model, that bishops serve the whole church and then support a handful of annual conferences. In this system, the primary work of the bishops is spiritual leadership through teaching, preaching, through ordinations, and they will also appoint pastors, make the final appointment of pastors. But most of their work will be at the general church level in teaching and preaching and guiding the church on a spiritual level. The day to day operations of an annual conference will be led by what we will call a conference superintendent, and they will be residential. They will be here in our annual conference, and they will be leading the teams and staff at the annual conference level for the day to day operations, as well as presiding elders who will serve at the district level to support our local congregations. This is essentially how the Global Methodist Church has already been operating since we launched a few years ago. And so now we have solidified this as the model that we will use moving forward. For this time between the 2024 and 2026 General Conference, we have elected 6 interim bishops, and I am grateful for each of them. I think each of them will serve wonderfully during this time. Uh, and then in 2026, we will elect a still undetermined number of bishops, depending on how many annual conferences we have at that time. There are still others coming in from around the world. But in 2026, we will elect the full number of bishops for their full terms starting in 2026. And for bishops, they no longer have a lifetime role as a bishop. They will serve up to 2 6-year terms. And then after that, either retire or return to either local church ministry or some other mission field. They will retain the title of emeritus bishop, but they will not have the privileges or the responsibilities of a bishop for their lifetime, only for their 2 6-year terms. And then finally, friends, I want to share with you the mission and vision statement that came out of General Conference. The mission statement is something that guides the work and the purpose of an institution. And ours at the Global Methodist Church is this: the Global Methodist Church exists to make disciples of Jesus Christ and spread scriptural holiness across the globe. Now, that phrase, "spread scriptural holiness across the globe," may not be familiar to you, but that is a historic marker of the Methodist movement. When John Wesley started this Methodist movement, it was not meant to be a denomination. It was meant to be a movement that reformed the church in England and also the nation of England. And so, including this idea of spreading scriptural holiness across the globe pulls us back to that we want to be a movement that reforms the church, reforms the world as we are making disciples of Jesus Christ. And then we have a vision statement that helps us see what that looks like. How do we accomplish that? And our vision statement is: through the empowerment of the Holy Spirit, the Global Methodist Church envisions multiplying disciples of Jesus Christ throughout the earth who flourish in scriptural holiness as we worship passionately, love extravagantly, and witness boldly. And so, friends, those are the key updates. If you want to know more, check out the Global Methodist Church Facebook page and Instagram and other social media. And there are lots of videos and recap videos and other media that you can find there. But friends, I am so encouraged about what happened at the Global Methodist Convening General Conference, and I am confident that the Holy Spirit will continue to move on from the work that was done there, and that here at the Garden, as a Global Methodist Church congregation, that we will fully live into this mission to make disciples of Jesus Christ, to spread scriptural holiness across the land, And we will do that by living fully into our vision of discipleship. Kate and I are excited for this journey with you and to continue to live out this mission that we've been given. Friends, God bless, and I will see you soon.